Winter 1887. The Wyoming wind, a relentless banshee, clawed across the territory, stealing breath and breaking spirits. In the desolate Cheyenne train station, a lone woman huddled on a splintered bench, each exhale a fragile cloud against the biting cold. Her gloved fingers, numb beyond feeling, clutched a small worn leather bag. Inside her entire world, $3 a faded photograph and a heart full of dreams threatening to freeze with the encroaching night. What unfolded from this moment of quiet desperation would become a whispered legend, a love story echoing from the Colorado River to the Canadian border. A tale of two souls colliding in the untamed American West, their lives forever altered, their legacy etched into history. That December night, Cheyenne was a town besieged. Elizabeth Libby Montgomery drew her threadbare shawl tighter, a futile gesture against the icy tendrils of the storm. Hours ago, her fingers had surrendered to the numbness. Now her lips were tinged with blue. The eastbound train, her last hope, had vanished into the blizzard 3 hours past. The next, if it came at all, wouldn't be till dawn. Back in Philadelphia, Libby had been a nurse, her hands skilled in mending wounds, welcoming new life, and comforting the dying at a charity hospital. But then came the scandal. Dr. Harrison, a man of influence, his advances unwelcome. She'd fought back. A shattered bedpan, a broken nose. His word against hers. The outcome was swift and brutal. Dismissed. Blacklisted. No respectable hospital would touch her. With her meager savings, she'd bought a one-way ticket west, chasing whispers of mining towns desperate for any medical skill. But her funds had bled dry in Cheyenne. The boarding house door had slammed shut. Now only this hard bench, the biting air, and the terrifying question, would she freeze before morning? Beside her, her medical bag, her only treasure, proof of a life she might never reclaim. The crunch of hooves on frozen earth broke the storm's mournful song. Through the swirling snow, a silhouette emerged, a large man on a magnificent black stallion. He dismounted with an easy grace, his heavy coat and wide-brimmed hat offering scant protection against the gale. Even in the dim light, Libby noted the quality of his attire, the confident set of his shoulders. He pushed open the station door, a flurry of snow chasing him in. "Evening, miss," he said, his voice a surprising warmth, deep with a Texan drawl that soothed the harshness of the night. He touched the brim of his hat. "Mighty cold to be out here alone." Libby tried to answer, but her jaw was locked, teeth chattering uncontrollably. A small, jerky nod was all she could manage. The man's gaze, sharp and assessing, softened with concern. He was perhaps 30, dark-haired, with a neatly trimmed mustache. Despite the tempest, an air of quiet command clung to him. "Name's Jackson Thornton," he offered, pulling off thick gloves. "Jack to most. Owned the Double T Ranch about 20 miles north. Was in town on business." His eyes flickered to her medical bag, then to her worn but quality clothes. "Saw you from the hotel window. You look like you could use a warm fire and a hot meal, miss." "Nurse." Libby managed the word, a painful rasp. "Elizabeth Montgomery, from Philadelphia." Jack's eyebrows rose. "A trained nurse in Wyoming territory, that's rarer than a gold strike." He stepped closer, his concern palpable. "Miss Montgomery, you'll not last the night here. This storm's a killer, and this station's colder than a gravedigger's heart. Please allow me to take you somewhere warm." Hope, a fragile butterfly, fluttered in Libby's chest, quickly followed by the shadow of past betrayals. Men, especially those with easy confidence, had taught her bitter lessons, yet desperation was a powerful persuader. And there was something in this Jack Thornton's eyes, a gentleness that belied his rugged exterior. I have no money for a hotel." "That's not your worry now, Miss Montgomery. Getting you warm, getting some food in you, that's what matters." Without a word, he shrugged off his heavy woolen coat, the scent of pine leather and honest toil clinging to it. He draped it around her shoulders. The sudden warmth carrying his own body heat made her gasp. "Can you walk?" Libby tried. Her legs, stiff and frozen, refused. Before she could protest, Jack Thornton scooped her up into his arms as if she weighed nothing. Her medical bag was gathered too. "The hotel's just across the street," he said, his voice rumbling against her ear. "We'll get you sorted. Then perhaps you can tell me what brings a Philadelphia nurse to Wyoming in the dead of winter." As he carried her out into the storm, Libby found herself pressed against his solid chest, his arms a fortress against the wind. For the first time in months, a sliver of safety, unbidden and unexpected, pierced through her despair. She didn't know this man, his intentions were a mystery, yet a fragile trust began to bloom in the frozen landscape of her heart. The cattleman's hotel lobby buzzed, a stark contrast to the silent station. Heads turned as Jack Thornton strode in, a half-frozen woman in his arms. Perkins, the reedy desk clerk, scurried over. "Mr. Thornton, what, what happened?" "Found her at the station, Perkins, near frozen. Best room you have. Hot food, coffee, plenty of blankets. And send for Doc Williams if he's in town." "Room 12, sir. Right away." Jack carried Libby up the stairs, ignoring the whispers. The room was spacious, a fire already crackling in the hearth. He set her gently in a chair before it, then efficiently coaxed the flames higher. "Hotel will send up some dry clothes," he set his back to her. "Yours are soaked." Soon hot coffee and soup arrived. Jack poured her a cup, his large hands surprisingly gentle. "Slowly now," he cautioned. "Too much heat too fast isn't good." Libby sipped the warmth, a blessed relief. "You seem to know a bit about medicine yourself, Mr. Thornton. Call me Jack, and you learn things on a ranch. Men get hurt, animals get sick. Nearest doctor's often a day's ride. But I'm no trained nurse. What brought you west, Miss Montgomery, if you don't mind my asking?" Libby studied his face, illuminated by the firelight. Honest eyes, she decided. He deserved the truth, or part of it. "I worked in a hospital in Philadelphia." She began choosing her words carefully. "There was trouble. A doctor who wouldn't take no for an answer." Jack's jaw tightened, a dangerous glint in his eyes. "He forced himself on you." "He tried. I broke his nose with a bedpan." A ghost of a smile touched Jack's lips. "Good for you. Hope it pained him proper." "It did, but it cost me my career. I thought, out here, my skills might matter more than my past." "They do, Miss Montgomery. Out here a person's judged by what they do, not by whispers. A good nurse worth her weight in gold." A knock and a maid entered with borrowed clothes. A simple wool dress, warm and practical. "Mrs. Patterson from room 8 sent these. Said any woman caught in this storm deserves a helping hand." "Thank Mrs. Patterson for me. I'll wait downstairs while you change, Miss Montgomery." He turned to leave. "Mr. Thornton." "Jack, why are you doing all this?" He paused, hand on the doorknob. "Maybe because I know what it's like to be alone. And maybe," he turned his gaze direct, "because I've been looking for someone like you, a healer. My men get hurt, lost good hands because there was no one skilled enough. But more, I've been looking for someone with grit, someone who'd break a man's nose rather than break her spirit." He left, closing the door softly. Libby stared at the closed door, his words echoing. A wealthy rancher, kind, respectful. Hope, tentative but persistent, began to thaw her frozen heart. Sunlight streamed through the window. The storm had passed. Libby woke feeling more rested than she had in months. A soft knock. "Miss Montgomery, it's Jack." He stood there with a breakfast tray, a smile crinkling the corners of his eyes. "Morning. Thought you might be hungry. How are you feeling?" "Much better. Thank you, Jack, for everything. I don't know how to repay you." "No repayment needed, though I was hoping we could talk about your plans." Over a hearty breakfast, Libby confessed her vague idea of finding work in a mining camp. "Mining camps are rough, Libby. Dangerous for a woman alone." He leaned back. "I have another proposition. My ranch, the Double T. 50,000 acres, 60 men year-round, more during Roundup. They get hurt. Broken bones, cuts, snake bites. You name it. You're offering me a position as the ranch nurse. Good pay, comfortable quarters, your own cabin, all the medical supplies you need. You'd be near the main house. Cookie, our cook, will see you're well fed." "It sounds too good to be true. What would you expect in return, personally, I mean?" Understanding softened Jack's eyes. "Libby, I'm not the kind of man to take advantage. If anything personal were to develop between us, it would be because we both wanted it, not obligation." His sincerity was a balm. "How far is the ranch?" 20 miles. Hard work, honest folk. I've tried hiring doctors. They want city comforts, easy money. Ranch life's too raw for most. But you'd hire a woman. I'd hire anyone with the skill and courage. Out here, what you can do matters not whether you wear skirts or trousers. He paused. All right, the whole truth. Winters are harsh, summers scorching. You'd be the only woman most times except for Cookie's wife, Martha. It can be lonely. I've known loneliness in crowded cities, Jack. Ranch loneliness sounds honest. There's something else. My family, we have means. Considerable. Some might say you're trying to catch a wealthy husband. Let them. I know my own heart. I believe you do. So when would you want to start? Does that mean you'll take the position? It means I'll try. If it doesn't work out, no hard feelings. Fair enough. Welcome to the Double T Nurse Montgomery. As their hands clasped, a spark, undeniable and warm, passed between them. The future, once a terrifying void, now held a flicker of promise. The ride to the Double T was breathtaking. Snow-draped plains stretched to distant jagged peaks under an endless blue sky. Jack had outfitted Libby with warm clothes in Cheyenne, waving away her protests. An advance on your salary, he'd grinned. As they crested a hill, the Double T sprawled below, a small bustling town in itself. A large log-and-stone main house, bunkhouse stables, smoke curling from chimneys. There she is, Jack said, pride resonating in his voice. It's magnificent. Wait till spring. Wildflowers everywhere. Cowboys emerged curious. Boys, Jack called, dismounting. Meet Miss Elizabeth Montgomery, our new nurse. A ragged cheer went up. Tom Bradley, the grizzled foreman, stepped forward. Ma'am, Tom Bradley, foreman, mighty glad to have you. Cut my hand on wire yesterday, hurt something fierce. I'll look at it once I'm settled, Mr. Bradley. Jack led her to a snug cabin, a fire already blazing. Simple, comfortable. Martha, Cookie's wife, stocked the kitchen. Anything you need, just ask. Then he opened another door. Libby gasped. A fully equipped medical office, examination table cabinets overflowing with supplies, instruments gleaming. Jack, it must have cost a fortune. A good nurse is worth a fortune. Ordered most of it months ago, hoping. Tears pricked Libby's eyes. This quiet, steadfast kindness was overwhelming. Thank you, she whispered. Don't thank me yet. Wait till you see what these boys can do to themselves. As if on cue, Tom Bradley appeared, supporting a young cowboy, Billy, hopping on one foot. Sorry, miss, but Billy here got his foot acquainted with his horse. Bring him in. Let's see that foot. As she worked skillfully and gently, she felt Jack watching from the doorway, a proud, warm smile on his face. She thought this might just work. Days turned into weeks. Libby treated sprains, set bones, stitched gashes. The cowboys, initially wary, grew to respect and trust her. Her evenings often found Jack on her cabin porch, sharing stories, dreams, and steaming mugs of Martha's hot chocolate. A comfortable rhythm settled between them, a friendship deepening with each shared sunset. One evening, Jack confessed he'd known a nurse was arriving when he found her at the station. I wanted you to take the job on its merits, Libby, not out of obligation. His honesty only deepened her regard. Then haltingly, he spoke of his attraction. I'm attracted to you, Libby, since that first night. But your job is secure regardless of how you feel. I won't pressure you. Thank you for your honesty, Jack. And the attraction isn't one-sided. A silent understanding passed between them, a promise of something more, waiting for the right moment. Spring painted Wyoming in vibrant hues, but with it came a storm of a different kind. Young Danny, a favorite among the hands, was trampled during a lightning storm. He was brought in unconscious, his breathing, shallow chest crushed. Clear that table, I need light hot water, clean linens. Tom, assist me. Miss Libby, shouldn't we wait for the doc from Cheyenne? He'll be dead by then. I've done this surgery. We have to act now. For 3 grueling hours, Libby fought for Danny's life. The bunkhouse was silent, save for her calm commands and the clink of instruments. Jack, having ridden for the town doctor, only to return and find her deep in surgery, watched from the doorway, his face a mask of awe and fear. When she finally straightened, exhausted but triumphant, Danny was breathing steadily. He'll live. The bunkhouse erupted. The Cheyenne doctor, arriving late, examined her work. As fine as any surgeon in Denver, he declared. Jack's pride in Libby was a tangible thing. Later that night on her porch, the moon, their only witness. What you did tonight, Libby, you saved him. It was incredible. Any trained nurse would have tried. No, it's what you did. And it's one of the many reasons I love you, Libby. The words hung in the cool night air. Libby looked at this strong, kind man who had rescued her, given her a home, a purpose, and now his heart. I love you too, Jack Thornton. He kissed her, then a kiss that sealed a promise under the vast Wyoming sky. Marry me, Libby, he whispered. I know it's fast, but I can't imagine life without you. Oh, Jack, think about it. That's all I ask. She promised she would, though her heart already knew the answer. Word of the proposal spread like wildfire. The Double T buzzed with excitement. The wedding, a grand affair by frontier standards, was held on the first Saturday of June. Libby, radiant in ivory silk, was escorted by Tom Bradley. Jack, more nervous than she'd ever seen him, waited on the porch of the main house, which would soon be their home. Their vows, spoken with heartfelt conviction, echoed across the assembled crowd. I do. I do, Howard. When the preacher pronounced them husband and wife, Jack's kiss was passionate, drawing cheers from the Cowboys. The celebration that followed was legendary. Danny, recovering but determined, offered a toast. To Mrs. Thornton, the woman who saved my life and made our boss the happiest man in Wyoming. May your love story inspire us all. Later, alone on their porch, Jack slipped a gold locket around Libby's neck. Inside, a tiny photo of them and the engraving, Forever and Always JT. It feels like coming home, Jack. You are home, Libby, forever and always. Their first year of marriage was a tapestry of joy and hard work. Libby balanced her nursing duties with being a ranch wife, her business acumen impressing Jack. Their love story became a beacon, but shadows from the past are long. In the spring of 1889, a telegram arrived. Dr. Harrison, the man from Philadelphia, was in Cheyenne investigating unlicensed medical practitioners. He's come to destroy me, Jack. He's never forgiven me. Let him come. He'll find Wyoming ain't Philadelphia. Harrison arrived at the Double T smug and flanked by a territorial marshal, official papers in hand. Mrs. Thornton, or should I say Miss Montgomery, here to investigate reports of illegal practice. My wife is a trained nurse, with certificates to prove it. Certificates rendered meaningless by dismissal for moral turpitude. I believe, did you tell your husband about your little indiscretions? My dear Rum, I told him about a coward who tried to assault me and got his nose broken for his trouble. Your word against a respected physician. He got no further. Jack's fist connected with Harrison's jaw, sending him sprawling. The marshal reached for his gun, only to find himself surrounded by 30 grim-faced Double T cowboys, materializing as if from the earth itself. Marshal, you want to question my wife's credentials? Fine. We'll have a proper hearing in Cheyenne. Hooking, the Cheyenne courthouse overflowed. Patient after patient testified to Libby's skill, her compassion. The town doctor lauded her surgical prowess. Even the territorial governor sent a letter of support. Harrison's accusations crumbled. His own shady past came to light. When Tom Bradley recounted how Libby saved Danny, the judge's decision was swift. Mrs. Thornton, your service to this territory is exemplary. Your nursing certificate is hereby officially recognized. As for you, Dr. Harrison, I suggest you leave Wyoming before these good people show you the same hospitality you've shown their beloved nurse. The courtroom erupted. Jack swung Libby into his arms. It's over, he whispered. He can't hurt you now. We faced it together, Jack. We can face anything together. And face it, they did. By 1892, Jack and Libby Thornton were pillars of Wyoming. The Double T flourished. Libby established the territory's first true hospital in Cheyenne, and a nursing school her innovations lauded even back east. Jack became a force in the territorial legislature, championing statehood and building the town of Thornton, Wyoming. Their greatest joy, however, was their 3 children, twin boys Thomas and Jackson Jr., and their daughter Rebecca, named with Libby's blessing after Jack's first wife. Each child a testament to their enduring love. One evening, watching their children sleep, Libby reflected on the journey from that frozen train station. Ever regret it, Libby coming west, taking a chance on a rough cowboy? Never, Jack. That night was the luckiest of my life. Everything before was just preparing me for you. I love you, Libby Thornton, more than words can say. And I love you, Jackson Thornton, forever and always. Years later, historians chronicling Wyoming's dawn would always tell the tale of Jack and Libby. Their love story became legend. The Double T thrived under their children, Thomas, a respected cattleman and senator, Jackson Jr., a doctor like his mother, Rebecca, a rancher's wife, passing down their legacy of courage. The town of Thornton flourished. Libby's hospital became a renowned medical center, her nursing school a beacon. But their truest monument wasn't brick or stone. It was in the countless souls inspired by their journey. Proof that love could blossom in the harshest climes, that two hearts from different worlds could forge a shared destiny. In the Cheyenne Museum, visitors still see Libby's small leather medical bag, a symbol of a desperate night that birthed an enduring love. Nearby, Jack's wedding ring. The plaque simply reads, Jack and Elizabeth Thornton, proof that love can conquer all and that the greatest adventures often begin with a single act of kindness. On a hill overlooking the Double T, two headstones stand side by side, weathered by the Wyoming wind. Jack passed in 1923, Libby followed just 3 months later, unable to imagine a world without him. Their shared epitaph, chosen by their children, echoes their promise, forever and always, a love that made history. Even now, the legend of Jack and Libby Thornton endures, a testament to the resilient power of the human heart, the boundless promise of the American West, and the profound truth that sometimes the greatest treasures are found not in gold, but in the unexpected kindness of a stranger, in a love that dares to defy the odds. Theirs was truly a love story that made history, proving that in the land of endless possibilities, love is the grandest adventure of all.